Okay, today we're going to make some homemade tomato cages. Most of you probably bought some of those from the box stores. They're cheap and chintzy, so we made a trip to the lumber yard. We got some concrete wire. I'll get it out of the back of the truck, assuming the tractor will pick it up because it's not green. And then we'll show you how to make some cages. Okay, watch. Wire back here, and first of all, I was joking about the tractor not being able to pick up the wire because it wasn't green. So one of my brothers has a green tractor and he's proud of it. So I went ahead and pre-made one so I could figure out how many squares I needed. It's 14. I didn't remember because we have some cages we made in the past. So when you first get your roll of wire, make sure that when you break it loose, you're careful because there's some spring tension and memory there. It'll come unroll on you and it could hit you in the face. So I'm going to unroll it. And I'll count out my 14 squares. And there's two ways of cutting it. You can use, well, there's a lot of ways of cutting it really, but you can either use bolt cutters, you can use fence cutters. So the fence cutters aren't as good because the wire is pretty hard, but I'll show you that. So if you have a pair of these, you can get them at TSC or any farm store. They're not that expensive. Bolt cutters are my preference. They work a lot better, they're faster. So I cut it in the middle. Some guys will cut them on the edge. I like to cut it in the middle so I have the points on both sides. So again, be careful of this so you don't poke yourself. Then take the ends of it and bring it together. And you'll want to make sure that you either put this side on the top or this side on the bottom, but make sure it's the same all the way down. So I'll put it on top. I'll bring them together. And then if you want to wear gloves, you can wear gloves so you don't cut your hands, but take the fence that you have on top, bend it under and around, then do the same thing with the other one so it wraps around the other side. And that'll hold it together. Some people will put the ends together and they'll use zip ties. I don't do it that way because they'll age and break down with the sun over time. This has seemed to work for us. This roll of wire was about $115 at the lumber store. And I think we'll get about probably 25 cages out of it. It's about 93 degrees, so it's pretty hot right now. So what you'll notice, I'm taking these over the opposing side. So this one goes under and this one will go over, which keeps it together. And then if it's still kind of egg-shaped on you, like this is, you can see it's kind of oblong, just lay it down and you can push it down like that to get it rounded out. And you have yourself a tomato cage. So I'll show you how we put it on. Most of the tomatoes we put some cages on already, so you can see they're pretty big, so you don't want, obviously you won't be putting them on when they're full grown like that, but I do have a small plant that I'll show you how we put it on. Here's a small tomato plant. What I do is I take usually they're smaller when I put them on, but I'll put the cage around it and try to get your tomatoes centered. And I twist them, and that kind of pushes it down in the dirt. And then make sure that none of the leaves are smashed or broke. And then some guys will put a post next to them. I don't, unless it's, you know, really wet, a wet year, or I anticipate a storm. But normally I don't. If you can see here, these are in there. They're pretty solid. So, pretty cheap way to make tomato cages. They'll last you a long time. Once you build your first cage, like I said, I did the 14 squares, and these are 6-inch squares. I would take one and get it set, and then put it over your tomato cage to make sure. With 14 squares, which is about 7 feet in length, these are about 26-inch diameter cages that I put around, and they're 60 inches tall. So if you need a bigger cage, just go more squares. You can also take the panels and cut them in straight lengths. If your tomatoes are, you know, they're larger and you didn't get tomato cages around them, you can make straight lengths and then put it on the sides with posts, and that would give some support for them. So again, it's fairly cheap, it's strong, it'll last you many years, so make it work for you to customize to your needs. Okay, again, I'm going to show some of you guys what these tractors will do. A disclaimer, I'm not telling you should do it. I'm an engineer. I've been an engineer a long time. I grew up on a farm, so I'm familiar with equipment. This Kubota is about 39 horsepower. I'll tell you, the horsepower doesn't matter as much as the hydraulics. This Grapple's is a Lampride SGC 0660, so it's not the biggest grapple you can get. It's not the biggest grapple that this tractor can handle, but I will show you a log over here, and I don't know what it weighs. I know it's heavy, but I hauled that home from the woods, carefully of course, but you know, again, these things are powerful. So here's a log, right? It's big, it's green, it's heavy, it's oak, and I'll show you what this little tractor can do. So watch this. Like this, if you needed to move it, you could. What I would say and caution you is don't raise it up, and don't drive with the load up in the air, especially if you turn, because it changes the center of gravity if you roll over. My tires do have BGs in them, so it's probably 650, 700 pounds of weight on the back. I don't have anything on the back. A lot of guys will tell you to stress the need for ballast, which is important if you're going to do a lot of this kind of stuff. But God gave you a brain, so use it. So again, if I wanted to raise this up, I'm idle. It'll pick it up. Right? What happens with this load and what I do with it is under my control. So again, the size of the tractor is important, but using your knowledge and wisdom is probably a little better for you. So there you have it. Thank you.